I remember my first time going to a studio and thinking how magical it was.
Right.
And this one kid, he came on his 16th birthday for his first time. And I think he told me after the session, like, he was a really quiet kid too. He's like, today's my birthday too. And I was like, oh, really? Like, how old are you? He's like 16. I was like, oh, no way, man. Happy birthday. Like, and I was like, he texted me when he left. He's like, hey, thanks again for today. It was the best day of my life. And I was like, oh, dude. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, man, I was like, I remember exactly when I was 18 and I went to the studio and I'm like, it was the best day of my life. You know, and I want that experience for whether someone's been recording 10 years or 10 months or one day, like, just come through and have a good time and try, you know,
it's like
just try it.
Ziza Connection, welcome back. Today we're connecting with Trill Dyll. How you doing, my dude?
Doing great, man.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I can't think about. We probably ran into each other somewhere.
I think we ran into each other somewhere, but I mean, like, actually saw you, I think was in the studio.
I think so.
And I think that was with Jack and Moxis, Jack Ryan and Moxis.
Okay.
Like over a year and a half.
Well, that wasn't the first time we met, though, was it?
No, the first time we met, I came by
with Moxis.
And he was just doing his own thing.
Okay.
Right.
Then, yeah, you did. Okay, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. At least the first time was at least 3 years ago, I would say.
Yeah. But we know each other through a couple different avenues.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I went to high school with one of your relatives.
Yeah, you went to Pinnacle?
No, I went to Cactus Shadows.
Oh, you, Jonah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's basically kind of like a brother-in-law.
Okay.
Even though it's my cousin's boyfriend.
Right.
They've been together for like 8 years and my family's really close. So we kind of more than cousins kind of thing.
Right.
But so Jonah, you went to high school with.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Arizona's a small world. We all know this.
It really is, yeah.
Especially in the music scene.
Mm-hmm.
So you've worked with quite a few of my favorite artists in Arizona. At least artists that I respect.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of musicians, I suppose, that are coming out of Arizona whose music I don't necessarily respect.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
But you've worked with a lot of the guys that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, who we had on the podcast. Moxis, obviously, who we've had on the podcast. Who else have you worked with recently?
Recently, there's a group called Vibe Lane, which Steven Killed the Ego, formerly Vet Martinez, when he was on the show. He's now a part of. They're a really cool collective. I think they've got like 8 rappers and it's kind of like a 15-person roster kind of thing they got going on. A couple of the dudes in there, Malik Scott.
Okay, I know him.
Tarek,
I know of him.
Tarek is super dope. Sinclair, Louis Santana.
Sinclair's with Vibe Lane too?
Yes.
The Sinclair that works with Zenny?
No, that's that's Zenny's brother.
Oh, okay.
It's a different, Sinclair's, I don't know what his Spotify name is, but his Instagram is The Original Sin.
Oh, okay.
Like back in the old, like,
right.
You know,
it's a good play on words. Yeah. I like it.
So yeah, they have their own group going on, their own collective. So I'm starting to work with a lot of them now. Other locals I work with a lot. Styles the Artiste, who actually met Steven Killed the Ego through. Met a lot of people through Styles. He's really cool dude, and he is very connected out here. Besides that, just there's a lot of random artists that come through, and I ended up building friendships with, and there's a lot of talent out here that definitely needs to be heard.
I've always said this, it's not just in the music industry. It's like Arizona's got a lot of talent that doesn't get out in many different industries.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to see that people are working together, and again, respectable people are working together.
Right.
So you're doing the production, obviously.
Production and
engineering as well.
Yeah.
That was my next question. So what do you enjoy doing most?
That's a question I have gotten a lot in the studio over the years. Like, what do you prefer, making beats or engineering?
Like rappers are asking you in the studio?
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, like, I think my answer has changed over the years a few times. Like, I'll go back and forth what I like doing better. And at this point, I would say I like them equally, just because I don't even care if an artist brings in another beat, whether it's from YouTube or another producer. I just like engineering and making the song come to life. And I feel confident in bringing them that like music industry quality. And so I love hearing a song come to life at the end. And then again, I love making beats as well. I mean, that's what I first started with. And I think it comes a little easier to me.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I would have to split them 50-50 because I do them probably about 50-50 in my time anyways. Half of it's engineering, half of it's production. So
Do you think that engineering is as creative as making beats?
it can be. It definitely can be.
Can you educate me on what engineering really is?
Yeah.
Because like I have a broad idea of what an engineer does, but I don't really understand like the details of what you do.
Got you. Which is same with my parents, or a lot of people. They don't know.
Like I get it, but I don't.
So engineering is basically if you see the guy behind the soundboard hitting record. At the end of the day, he's recording the song. But for mixing engineer, they basically they do something called like compress and EQ. So they are treating the vocal. So you have a raw vocal come into the mic kind of like this.
Okay.
And then afterwards is where you put in a bunch of effects like reverb, delay. You basically trying to make it sound as crisp and clear as possible. So depending on the person, you might boost up some high frequencies and tones in their voice, depending on how that is, or cut out some of the low ones. It's also like when you hear like little telephone effects or cool little panning
Ad-libs,
effects,
all that stuff,
everything,
too.
all the little cool ear candy. The auto tune is what the audio engineer does. They're, pitch correcting every note if you're off, even if you're doing like a pop or R&B singer that doesn't sound like they have auto tune, like T-Pain or Lil Baby. If it like Ariana Grande, she has auto tune, but you can't really tell.
It's just like spotty in certain areas.
It's moving like a note that you're maybe half a step off. So say it needed to be a C sharp and you came in at C, you can literally bump that one note up without making it sound the whole song sound auto-tune.
So do you know where the note is supposed to be, or are you looking at something that tells you where the note is supposed to be?
A little bit of both.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can't sing, so that is one downside. I think if an engineer can sing, it really helps. That's working with singers. If you can sing, then work with like a
vocalist, like actual vocalist.
Yeah, then you can sing back to them in the booth and kind of tell them where they need to be. For me, it's more on the back end, so I can hear when it's off and I can kind of know, okay, that's flat or sharp. But then also in this program, Melodyne, basically it captures the whole vocal, and you can, whatever the key of the song is, you can set the plugin to be that key. And then it kind of shows you, oh, this note is not in that key. Okay. So I can slide it up or down into that note.
Okay.
So the engineer is kind of responsible for making everything sound cohesive. And, I even mix the instrumental and the beat. So if someone, they have each individual instrument of the beat, like you got the kick, the snare, piano, the bass. So I mix all those instruments as well with the vocal to make one whole cohesive sounding project.
Okay. And does it irk you when you hear music? Like, do you hear music that comes out from big name artists and you're like, this wasn't engineered well?
Yeah, I honestly,
really?
I just said that like 2 weeks ago, or maybe, I don't know how long the song came out, maybe 3 weeks ago. I love Freddie Gibbs, and this new Freddie Gibbs song that came out, I was like, first listen, I'm like, man, this is not like, why can't I mix this song kind of thing? I was like, I would have done a better job. I'm not saying I'm the best engineer out there for sure, but there are ones that, I feel like they get a pass because they have a fan base, and the engineer or whoever in the team is like, oh, this is dope, I want to drop it now. And they never really gave it a second, third, fourth listen or pass through on the mix because they knew the fans were the average listener's not going to know that the 808 sounds too loud or the vocal is low or this frequency needs to be cut. The average listener doesn't care.
It's like sometimes I listen to music and I'm like, I can tell something doesn't sound right. Like I listen to enough music, and I'm around a lot of EDM producers. So I've like been in the studios with them, watched them do their thing. So I've been around music enough to be able to pick up when something isn't right or doesn't sound right, but I can never pinpoint what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And there's been, I've had a lot of people, whether it's friends of clients or friends of mine in the studio who, saying, hey, it just sounds off. And frustrating thing for the artist, if it's their friend, they're like, well, what is it? And their friend's like, oh, I don't know. But it's good to have that friend in there because they're the consumer, right? So you'd be the consumer in that session. So I always think it's cool to have someone in there like that because they sometimes will tell me things like, hey, does this sound? And they don't know the terms. They don't even tell me the terms, but I'm like, oh, I'm not listening for those things. Right. And like another thing is I don't pay attention. This is just me personally. I don't know about other engineers, but I don't pay attention to the lyrics for the most part. When I'm listening, when I'm recording someone or mixing,
you're just hearing for the sonics, like what it sounds like.
Exactly. Right. So some people will be like, hey, can you go back to when I said this word? I'm like, where's that? Like, even though we heard the song multiple times, or they would be like,
You're like, I don't even know what you're talking about,
I'm
bro.
like, what line? I'm like, yeah. So for me, I'm not, paying attention. I will I guess I do more so when I'm recording them because there's not much more to pay attention to once I get the levels right.
Right.
I'm just kind of listening. And I'll kind of be like, hey, what do you mean by this line? And if they can't explain it to me in less than a few words for like literally one punchline, then you got to rewrite it.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's a punchline at the end of a little phrase or verse and you have to explain it in like 2 sentences, it's like, well, how is the audience supposed to
understand it?
Yeah.
That's what Drake does so well, dude. Everything he says hits the second you hear it, like immediately.
Yeah. I was about to bring him up too. And the fact that when you said, can you be creative engineering? With Drake's music, I don't think you can be because it sounds like it's just his vocal and he barely does ad-libs. He doesn't really have any layers.
True.
His music sounds like, if you were to look at it on like Pro Tools, which is the program I use to record.
Right.
I feel like it would be beat and then one Drake vocal the whole time. When other music, there's layers, there's ad-libs, there's harmonies, there's different cool little deep voice effect here. There's layers to the music. And Drake, he does such a great job of just sounding. It sounds so simplistic. Like
he just like talks to people.
Yeah, it's like 4 instruments in his voice.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling. Like I don't know if I'd be able to mix that song because it almost sounds like there's not enough to be mixed.
You'd look at it and be like, I feel like I should be doing more.
Right. But then you sell as much records as Drake does, and it's kind of one of those things where if it's working, it's working. You don't need all the bells and whistles for a mix. And some people need it to enhance their song or to hide maybe, some of the lyrics or how, maybe their voice isn't that great. So you need more to hide what's really going on. But yeah, he's just a real big conundrum for me. I'm like, I really want to look at what his session looks like because I don't know. It sounds like there's nothing.
I wish he would do one of those like Tory Lane style sessions where he films everything he's doing or like does, but he's too big for that. He's not going to do that. I feel like he's too big to do the fan interaction outreach type, studio sessions.
I mean, because you got to think he's from the era before social media,
That's true.
And
at least when he first got into the game, he was,
Like, I mean, he was obviously making music before like 2008, but I think 2008 is when I think Bedrock came out. Was it 2008 or 9?
Yeah.
Young Money. And that was when we first kind of saw Drake. Best I Ever Had was already out, but Drake was like, in the video with Tyga and Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. And that was the first time I saw Drake and I was like, whoa, that's what Drake looks like? I was kind of thrown off a little bit.
You'd never watched Degrassi before then, huh?
I did not watch Degrassi
See,
before.
I saw him. I had this whole thing with my sister where I was like, is that Degrassi?
Graham?
Is that him? I was like, what?
I had no idea till later.
Yeah.
I didn't
he made
Degrassi.
the comment in one of his songs. I don't remember what song it was, but he was like, it wasn't making me enough. I needed money quicker, something like that.
Yeah.
All up on TV, I thought it'd make me richer. I wasn't doing it, so I needed something quicker. And then I was like, so it is him.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I was like, wow.
It was Jimmy, right? Jimmy from Degrassi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never watched it, but it's weird when like I see scenes on YouTube or like clips pop up. I'm like, whoa.
He looks mad different.
Oh yeah,
he looks crazy different.
And he was in a wheelchair. Well, he was only in a wheelchair because he got shot in the show
for like 2 or 3 seasons, I think.
But he wasn't when he was first in the show.
No, he was balling. He was playing basketball and shit.
And he got shot.
And then he got shot in a school shooting.
I saw that.
Yeah, he got shot in the back.
Or I saw that scene or something. My friend showed me.
I actually remember the first time I saw that episode when I was a kid because my sister's got like 8 or 9 years on me, so I watched all the shows that she watched.
Right.
And yeah, I remember being, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years old watching that episode for the first time. I was like, what is going on?
Jeez.
It was wild.
Did you ever watch One Tree Hill?
No.
Oof,
is that a good one?
The first 4 seasons, season 5 through I think 9 or 10, it's like 4 years after high school.
Okay.
So that they're like adults. And it's like, it's all right. It's like literally the same storyline, but they're adults. So it's kind of like whatever. But the first 4 seasons are amazing. And they have a school shooting episode that is so intense. And I've seen the show like a couple times through. Like, I'm not embarrassed to say that.
If you've watched it multiple times, I'll have to go watch it.
It's at least the first 4 seasons. You'll binge it so fast. It's on Hulu, I think. It's really good. But yeah, they had a school shooting one. It was so dark. I'm like, Jesus.
I mean, as a director, you know what I mean? I hear, so I think it was whoever produced Cyberpunk 2077, like whoever, I guess there's writers for video games too.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote the game supposedly wanted to do something that was like really touchy and like had a lot of, topics, like taboo topics and stuff in it. And I feel like it's the same for TV directors. You know what I mean? They want to do something that grabs your attention, kind of taboo.
Yeah, it's true. And what's weird about that era of TV, because One Tree Hill was around the same time, like early 2000s.
Okay.
I don't know how TV works these days like that. But back then it was more like you wrote every week for the next episode. Like,
interesting.
You didn't bulk write. Like Netflix now, when you release a 10 episode series, it's written like a movie. Yeah. Back then it was like you wrote and shot every week until the season was done. Because like especially for the first season of a show, you didn't know if you're going to get canceled at whatever point.
Right.
So yeah, they probably were like in the writing room, like we got to mix it in. Ratings were bad last week. We need to do something that
do something crazy.
Everyone talks about. Like everyone went to school.
That's
shooting.
Dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Imagine like having week to week, like 1 week your ratings just tank, and you're like, let's do something wild.
They had to. That was what that was just TV and entertainment back then.
Do you feel like musicians do the same thing?
No.
Like shit, my last single sucked. I need to do something crazy.
I don't think so in this day and age, because there's too much coming out. There's too many singles, especially like Russ. He's doing one every week.
A week now, yeah.
Yeah, he's back on that, which he used to do. It's kind of like you have too many chances to redeem yourself if one, let's say, does like 50,000, 100,000 less streams than the next week. I'm talking like major level artists. I don't think they have like a week by week. Back in the day, like, before streaming, they definitely... if your album flopped and didn't didn't recoup that money that was put into it, you might not have the chance to make another album for a couple of years. That was the downside of signing a record deal back then.
Right. Let's talk about record deals. What do you want to sign with a record label? Like, what is your goal as a producer or engineer? What do you want to do? What is your career goal, I guess is my question.
My career goal, that again, a lot of things for me change pretty frequently.
Right.
But I guess the one that has stayed kind of consistent is I definitely want to build up the Arizona music scene. Whether that is starting my own label, not sure. I'd totally be open to doing that. I would even love to sign, like, if I did enough independently out here, to sign like a distribution deal, where then I could still keep control. The problem is with labels is you lose a lot of control, especially early on. They sign people way differently now than they did back then. In what sense? Back then was more on talent. Okay. So if you didn't have the look, but you could sing your ass off, or you could rap your ass off, and you can write, that's cool. They had artist development, A&R, they had all this stuff. They would mold you to look like Britney Spears or do whatever. They could take a plain Jane and make her look like Britney Spears, or him look like 50 Cent or whatever, give you the chains, do all that. Nowadays, you need some kind of influence beforehand. You need at least, like, I don't know what the number is, could be 100K organically on Instagram, where they're like, okay, you have an audience, let's put some money behind it and see where it goes, kind of thing. Why wouldn't someone like that just keep doing what they're like? If you had the talent to build 100K organic on your own, why not just do it by yourself? It could have been a quick viral 100K. It could have been they can't get past 100K. They could have done a few good TikToks or reels that got them there, and now they've been at 100 for 3 months, and they're like, what do I do now? I need to take this opportunity because I might not get this again. So I would definitely, I would take one in the right sense. I mean, for producers, it's a little iffy because you sign for years or, number of placements as a producer. So, it could be like, you need to get placed X amount of times in this next 2 years, or we drop you, kind of thing. Or you need this amount of play, because they'll give you, with the record deal, they give you in advance, right? So let's say it's $100,000. Here's $100,000 up front. You don't make another dollar until we recoup the $100,000. And then after we recoup it, you get 15% of total profit. Right. So an artist, their music and merch and all that needs to exceed $100,000 before they can start seeing more money come in. Right. That's why it's imperative to not blow that 100K right off the bat. And sounds harder than, or sounds easier than it is. Yeah, right. You can buy a house quick, a car, and then you're already halfway done, or whatever, and same for a producer. Instead of like that one album, you have to produce X amount of hit records, kind of. They have to place on Billboard or sell X amount for them to recoup their producer share of what that advance was. And then when they recoup that, now you're into royalty phase. But you're not into royalty phase until they recoup
you hit
it.
that level.
But for me, kind of long term, I'm really looking more into like movies and TV.
Okay.
Movies are probably my number one hobby. If I'm not making music, I'm watching movies or TV. That's just kind of what I enjoy doing.
So you want to do score for film?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a completely different lane.
It's really different lane. I started dabbling in that within this last year. I'm scoring a short horror film this summer. I'm not sure when it'll be released, but they're wrapping the filming at the end of this month, I believe. Okay. I'm a big horror fan, love the score. And actually through one of my clients, Styles, the artist who I shout out earlier, he also acts. And so he was playing the villain in this. And he's like, I was like, yo, man, like, that's crazy. Like, things line up for a reason, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, dude, I literally just made, for fun, 2 lawn like scores for horror, just because I wanted a portfolio started, just in case anything came up. Literally finished it like a week prior to him telling me this. I was like, who is it? He's like, it's just a small Arizona, indie film. I'm like, I don't care. Like, give me the director's number. And he did. I called him up. I'm like, hey man, like I'm friends with Styles. I actually just started, dabbling in scoring horror music. And he's like, no way. Like, so I sent him the few things I made. He's like, oh, this is perfect. Do you want to score the film? I'm like, yeah. Like,
dude. And the fact that they didn't have someone already.
Right. Exactly. So everything, I was just like, perfect. So that is like, for me, it's kind of starting from square one again, right? Where I have to build my name in a whole different
facet.
A whole different lane. And so, I mean, ultimately, I love doing a little bit of everything. And I really want, to score, whether it's a show or movie, have some of my artist music as like the background songs in shows and movies.
Well, wasn't it, I think, didn't 21 Savage just do like the music for the new Saw movie or some crap like that?
Yeah. So the same kind of thing as like Kendrick with Black Panther.
Oh, I didn't even know he did Black Panther. I did know that. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they did the background music, and then the score, of course, is Marvel's like composers and stuff. Right. But like the scenes with like some fight scenes, and you hear like Kendrick and The Weeknd in the background.
Yeah.
So those placements go for a lot of money. Like
it's funny you bring that up because 2 points I have. The first one being horror movies are really nothing without the music in the background. Right. Mm-hmm. Like I've watched a lot of those clips where they strip the music from the back of the horror film and it just looks weird. Yeah. So definitely a huge part of the film is the score, especially with horror. Mm-hmm. And second, you're not the first producer to talk about wanting to do TV and film, especially not in my personal network. Really? So I actually know a couple of DJs who ended up going to like Crass and a couple other different places. And that's their goal now too, is to start working on film and TV.
I mean, it's super fun once you get into it. And it's funny that you say the EDM guys, because the sound design aspect of scoring for movies is very similar to EDM.
In what sense?
So, in EDM, a lot of people pride themselves on like creating their own synth and like their own sound. Same thing with horror. A lot of it is sound design, where you're creating your own ambient, weird sounds.
Oh, okay.
So that's a pretty cool crossover, because you're kind of like, oh, I'm used to modulating and creating my own weird synth sounds. And a lot of horror is synth based, electronic based. And also what's crazy, I just found out recently, is most of like big movies aren't even written with like sheet music anymore. They are electronically written and scored. And then if they need an orchestra, they'll just hire on an orchestra and a composer to transpose it for the actual string sections.
So everything just like flipped.
Everything flipped. So you can literally write like in your DAW, in your Pro, whether it's Ableton or Logic or whatever, you can write everything in MIDI, which is the digital form of like writing music. You can write, you can play the strings like with the synth or the string plugins. You can do all that and then take that to a guy who can write sheet music.
Interesting.
He can transpose it and give it. And you still are the one who wrote the music, though, technically.
Interesting. Well, I mean, yeah, it's your intellectual property.
Exactly.
Right. Interesting.
So it's also faster and cheaper for the studio to actually pay that composer if they're not writing the whole thing with the full orchestra, but the full orchestra is just replaying it.
There's less people involved in the interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, you opened my eyes to that a lot. Now I have to think about that every time I watch a movie.
Yeah. I mean, for most of this is more like new age.
Okay.
Like for, of course, like Jaws and all that, like, you know, The Shining, all the older ones, like definitely real full orchestras. Like if you couldn't write sheet music, there was no computers back then. You know, there's no other way to do it. But yeah, for me, I mean, same thing, kind of like if you like, I think music and background stuff in any show or movie really makes it and builds that tension. And you know, the money for film and TV is 5-10x of what it is for producing for artists too. So
you would never know either because you don't know the names of it.
No,
I mean, I guess there's certain people.
There's like 5 that everyone knows, yeah.
Hans Zimmer.
Exactly. That's number 1. Everyone.
I don't think I know the name of any others.
I don't really know. I don't know the name. I just know what they did because a lot of them are hard to pronounce, to be honest. They're like Swedish,
like
Japanese,
foreign people. Yeah,
so they're hard to pronounce. But like the guy who did Black Panther, I think he also did The Mandalorian.
Okay,
he did like there's a lot of crossover between Marvel and Disney and stuff. But yeah, I mean it's like even if you're an artist, like let's say you're a rapper and your song is used as the end credits of a major movie.
Okay.
It's like $100,000 from when people are walking out the theaters.
You're lying.
No, it's 100,000. It's like 300 if it's the opening of the movie.
They just have so much money. These big budget films.
And how many indie artists would be cool with $5,000 or $1,000? $1,000 on my name in the movie. I'd be cool with it. But you're telling me,
bro, local openers are doing hour-long shows for $100.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's ridiculous money because I don't know. I don't understand it. Like they just
need to fill the budget. Yeah.
They have to.
Right. It's like when the state has too much tax income, they don't want to give it back.
I know. It's like, I do not understand. Like in a lot of indie artists for Netflix shows, like if you hear any, and I'm not saying just like the score, I'm saying like the music you hear if a character gets in the car, they drive away and you hear like 30 seconds of a song. That's like $10K to an indie artist.
That's ridiculous.
And you have no idea who this artist is. You'd have no idea what the song is.
But you don't get paid royalty. You just get paid your one time out.
Most likely just one time, especially for Netflix and stuff, especially if you're no name.
Right.
That's why they're paying you $10K rather than Kanye 100 plus
Fair
royalties.
enough.
So I guess in a way, like it kind of evens out, but I'd be cool if they told me Netflix right now and they told me $1,000. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
And then you
get to like take the screenshot and put it on your Instagram.
I know, but the fact that it's like 10 times that, it's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. But it is, super competitive and
right.
just like everything else is.
Right.
But
at least you get to start building your portfolio with this indie film. That's huge. That's huge.
That's like
you didn't even have to like, not to say you didn't have to work hard for it, but you didn't really have to work that hard to find the opportunity.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 100%. I mean,
you had to work hard to take advantage of it, but not to find it.
Yeah. I mean, I think most opportunities, at least for me, come from like who I know and not even like I grew up with in an extent. It was more like I've worked with this guy one time. We had a great session or interaction or whatever. And they think about me a year down the road or 6 months. And like word of mouth is always the best form of promotion you can get because it just came from someone using their own time and literally their own words to speak to someone else and be like, hey, this guy's really cool, or hey, I had a great time with him. You should consider or use him for this or that. And then when they reach out to you because you're like, so-and-so said this, and you're kind of like, oh, wow, like it just means a lot, you know what I mean? And it, that's just kind of something I've always prided myself on. Like, I think 100%, I think all of my clients that I work with at the studio are all word of mouth. I don't think I've gotten one off. Like I've tried running some ads on Facebook and Instagram, and I don't know if I'm bad at running ads or what. I just have never gotten anything back from that. And all of my clients and everyone I met is just through people saying like, hey, so-and-so sent me to you, or they came to the session. They're like, oh man, this sounds a lot better than where I go. Like, how much do you charge? And then just kind of go from there.
It's been the same way for me with getting guests on this show, for honestly. I mean, if I run down the line, the vast majority of them have been word of mouth. Like, oh, I know so-and-so, you should have them on the show too. I think they'd be really awesome. So it is a little bit of that, like the person that I'm having on respects their friend a lot.
Right.
To have them want them on the show.
Yeah.
But it's also like they enjoyed their experience here enough to be able to recommend someone to come on.
Exactly.
So I get that. And you're also you're very mellow, like calm, chill dude.
Yeah.
You don't really, it's not a lot of drama, not a lot of ups and downs. You know what I mean? You do your thing. Yeah. And even in the studio, you know what I mean? Like you're never too high, too low. You kind of just do your thing and you stay steady.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I mean, I don't really say too much in the studio.
Right.
When I'm mixing, I'm kind of in the zone, and people joke about that a lot. Like I get quiet when we're in the studio and working and stuff. And I don't know. I just kind of want to make sure that, I don't know, I feel like for me personally, it's pretty easy to be a nice and a good person to someone else, because that's just how I'd want them to be to me. And I've seen, everyone's been in the situation where you're in a room and you see someone who, let's say they are doing what you're doing. You're watching someone else do a podcast and you're like, man, I don't like this guy. You're like, I don't like the way he's coming off. I would never act like that.
Right.
And it's just kind of iterates to yourself like, okay, good. I'm not like that.
I'm not right.
You know?
Right.
You're like, oh, geez. Like
right,
I just, you see someone, you're like, I probably wouldn't hang out with you just based on the way they act. That's something I'd never wanted anyone to, see or be around me and be like, I would never want to hang out with him.
Are there artists that you've refused service to? Not refused, but are there artists that you've like avoided because you just really interesting? Interesting.
If trusted people of me tell me something about them, then like there's one dude, for instance, I worked with a couple times, and he's an interesting guy to say the least. He always kind of gave me some weird vibes, and I was like, I worked with him maybe 4 times or so. And then another client of mine, who is a gospel rapper, really nice guy, like as nice as they come. Yeah, like as nice as they come, right? Told me something about him, like, hey, like this and this happened with him, because they knew each other mutually through someone, and he basically did something just terrible kind of thing. And I'm like, he started hitting me up like, hey, can I come to the studio? I said, oh, sorry, dude. Due to certain circumstances, I can't work with you.
Interesting.
I don't care
Good
about,
for you though.
Yeah, I don't care about
Good for you.
Charging someone, or hey, that he was part of my whatever and this and that. I don't even care how good you are. You know? I just, if someone I know and trust and tells me something about, like, I'm like, oof.
A lot of it is who are you getting that feedback from?
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, that situation has only happened maybe 2 other times, where something came up where I'm like, okay, it's time to not, or I personally just didn't enjoy the experience. Then but I won't turn down anyone despite like like talent level or anything like that. You
have your morals and values you hold true to.
And if even someone is like, hey, it's my first session, I want to book, like I'm not going to say no because it's their first time. Like I love like being that first session for someone too, kind of. I remember my first time going to a studio and thinking how magical it was.
Right.
And this one kid, he came on his 16th birthday for his first time. And I think he told me after the session, like, he was a really quiet kid too. He's like, today's my birthday too. And I was like, oh, really? Like, how old are you? He's like 16. I was like, oh, no way, man. Happy birthday. Like, and I was like, he texted me when he left. He's like, hey, thanks again for today. It was the best day of my life. And I was like, oh, dude, like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, man, I was like, I remember exactly when I was 18 and I went to the studio, and I'm like, it was the best day of my life. You know, and I want that experience for whether someone's been recording 10 years or 10 months or 1 day, like, just come through and have a good time and try,
It's like try it. It's like your first time backstage at a concert or something. You're like, it's just memories, man.
Oh yeah.
It's good to know that you're a part of someone's memories like that.
Exactly. And I'm like, man, like, yeah, forever he'll think like, oh, for someone to the 100%. Studio. Yeah. And
hopefully he sees your names in the end rolls of the credits of some movie in the future, and he's like, oh, I remember that guy.
Hopefully. And and that, it goes to, when if people do see that or whatever, it goes to like, I remember that guy and he was a good guy.
Right.
It's not, oh, I remember that guy.
People remember how you make them feel.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. And it goes a long way for everything.
I want to bring up something a little touchy.
Okay.
You wrote did work on the Rally the Valley song that you did with Steven, and I believe, was it Styles on there? No, it wasn't Styles.
Malik.
Malik.
And Louis Santana.
Okay. I love that track.
Thank you.
I think that track is way better than the one they used.
Yeah.
Personally speaking.
Yeah.
My personal opinion. I think that track is way better than the one that they used.
Yeah.
I think it resembles Arizona a lot better.
Yeah.
Stylistically. And I don't know if that's something that really comes across to people who aren't from Arizona.
Right.
I think stylistically, the song that you guys made resembles Arizona much more than the one that they ended up picking. Was it a part of your guys's... Was that what you were trying to do?
Yeah. So quick backstory on that song. I'm always trying to figure out what to do for Arizona. And I started watching hip hop, I think it's called Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix.
Okay.
It's like a 4-part or maybe 4-season documentary series on how each or different cities blew up their hip hop scene. Obviously, this is going back. To watch that. Yeah, it's really good. It's obviously going back to like the 90s, and season 1's about like New York, LA, which is like the 80s, and boom bap and all the boombox stuff. And but I watched this season that was more like late 90s, and it was about New Orleans, Houston, Virginia Beach, and can't think of Atlanta. There you go. And all 4 of them were not as big as Phoenix is today. You know what I mean? Okay. Phoenix is huge compared, especially like Virginia Beach is not nearly
like
the amount
size of the city. Popular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously this was a different time too, late 90s, early 2000s, but they all built their own sound. That's at the end of the day, like they all made their own sound that came from there. You know, New Orleans with Master P, then found Lil Wayne, and just had this New Orleans sound that they took with like the New Orleans jazz bands. Houston had this like slowed down, lean kind of music because lean was huge there. Virginia Beach had this like crazy drumline stuff because of Pharrell and Timbaland. And so I'm like, all right, well, it's Arizona. And I thought, okay, well, EDM is probably the biggest genre out here.
That's true.
Rock was a huge thing out here, but EDM, you know, there's so many events. We have Rawhide, we have Decadence, we have tons of events.
People flying out here to go to these events now.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It's massive. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I've made a couple like EDM hip hop things combined before, and I had good like feedback on them. And I'm like, all right, well, no one, and I saw that week too, I was watching the Hip Hop Evolution. I saw a tweet that someone was like, so people need to make more EDM hip hop crossover type stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I made like 4 or 5 EDM hip hop beats, and I'm like, I'm going to release this Trill Tape Volume 1 EDM hip hop project. And The Valley, that beat was one of them. And I'm like, I started just typing in my notes on my phone, like ways to help blow up the city or just make a sound out here. And I'm like, all right, well, the Suns, this was back in late February, early March. And I'm like,
they were starting to go on a roll. Like,
yeah. And like, I knew the Suns were going to be at least an 8 seed. Like I knew they were going to make the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. And I'm like, all right, the Suns are going to be in the playoffs in a couple months. Like, let's make a song. And then I went on their website. I'm like, what's their slogan? Rally the Valley. I'm like, okay, let's make a song called The Valley. Hook is Rally the Valley. I asked Steven, Malik, and Santana. I'm like, these 3, they're perfect for it. Let's start writing it. So, and that's basically how that song started. And I was like, okay, we have no connections at the Suns. We have no connections at the radio. I'll get into that in a second about the politics out here, why we don't have the connections.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, can I cuss? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck. I was like, fuck it. Let's just do it. And I was like, we can find these contacts ourselves. So we made the song in a day pretty much. And it was awesome. Turned out great. We loved it. It was exactly the vibe that I felt like.
The lyrics were sick too.
Yeah. I was like, everyone can't, you know, we have to stay. We can't cuss in the song. We got to keep this commercial ready. And everyone has to be on topic. And yeah. So then, you know, we found the whole list of everyone at the Suns organization on their website. They have their whole roster all the way down to like the ball boy. Like they literally have everyone on there. So I found like the social media team. We hit them up. We hit up the Suns DJ. And they all liked it. And, you know, the social media team was like, okay, yeah, we're going to send this to our higher ups. And never really heard much back. And then, you know, I kept following up and she was like, yeah, I've sent them another one. Like, haven't heard back. I'm like, all right. Like, I reached out to the 98.7 Arizona Sports Radio, and they liked it. They're like, we're going to use it for content coming up. I'm like, all right, perfect. Like, followed up with them. Didn't really hear anything. And then the next thing we know, we saw that other track come out. I messaged my contact at the Suns. I'm like, hey, like,
what happened?
Yeah. I'm like, did they not like ours? And she's like, honestly, like, I'm not really sure what that was about. Like,
probably just politics.
Yeah. And I know exactly why and how it kind of went down, which is part of the reason why like I'm really adamant about the scene out here, because the people at the top of the scene
kind of gatekeep.
They gatekeep. And I'm not saying the guy who made the Valley song isn't good.
I agree.
But
I agree with you.
I'm saying that the best talent isn't being showcased out here, and I don't know why.
My thing was that the song that you were a part of was a better song for the scenario, in my opinion. I think, again, it resembles Arizona much better. The sound makes me think of Arizona more than the sound of the song that they chose.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting that you had kind of building a sound for Arizona in mind when you put the song together or put the beat together.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it was a different sounding beat. And that was my biggest concern, was like, is it too different where they're not going to, it's not radio enough or whatever. But from what they told me, it didn't seem to be that. It just seemed to be like, oh, this person had an actual connection through the Sons. And, it is what it is. I honestly feel like if we were to put both songs up and,
had people vote on it and which one do you like more?
Who didn't know us,
right?
Like, or him,
right?
Unbiasedly, I feel like ours was a better, like all the way down to the mix of it, the master of it, all the way down to.
I feel like that's what they should have done, especially with like this is for those of you watching from not Arizona. This is like a monumental time for us. I have my towel fell down. I went to game 2. I had my game 2 towel up there. This series. Oh. Yeah, it was so fun. So much fun. We didn't look at the score after the first half. Like we were just blowing them out. But yeah, and this is just like a monumental time for Arizona because we haven't had a playoff team in 6 years. We haven't had a Suns playoff team in 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to the city.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Suns should have given us the opportunity to be more involved in, picking what's representing us, I suppose. And maybe I put a lot of value on the music, but that was like a big one for me.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, they only used it one time in one post. Like they haven't been using it again, which if I was them, I'd be a little irked about it. I'd be like, okay, like I thought this was the theme song.
Right. I thought we were going to go at it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's been a ton of artists that have performed at halftime, like Futuristic.
Ali Dominique was there at game 2.
Deli Every Day.
Right.
Which, all good people, great, very talented. And I'm like, at the least we could perform our song at the halftime, man. Like at least.
That would be a conflict.
I guess.
Because they picked the other song already.
But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. And that's just, put more fuel to the fire to be at the top and really let the talent shine and not gatekeep for whatever the reason was, whether it's, they've known so-and-so for X amount of years, money, this and that. Like, I don't know the actual
politics. But,
but I know who's involved with it. And, some of my close clients and stuff, they know, so it's kind of like we would have been less mad if the song was better than ours. If the song was clear cut better than ours, I would be like, oh man, great song. Hats off.
That was my one gripe. You're saying, you're picking the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. If it was a clear cut better song, I feel you. I wouldn't have any issue with it.
Yeah.
But that's not how I felt.
Yeah.
And again, no gripe with the artist. I don't know the guy.
Yeah, me neither.
I know people who know him. I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was a clear cut better song, there'd be no issue. I just didn't feel like it was.
Same.
So,
yeah.
But I'm confident about the Cardinals making the playoffs.
We're making a Cardinals one.
You are?
I was already in my notes from when I made the Suns one. I'm like, okay,
I love that.
Cardinals are going to make the playoffs too. They have to.
I feel like they will.
They have so many players.
It's just young.
But this time we're making one for the start of the season, not the end of the season.
Right.
So yeah, little.
Do they already have a slogan?
Probably Rise Up Red Sea. I think
that's what they used the last couple of years.
I guess we'll see what. Well, we're not going to write it until it starts. But if anyone else is out there that wants to steal this idea, go for it.
You guys put together a competition, honestly.
Yeah, true.
I think that would be fun.
I'd be down. Yeah, I mean, like it only makes everyone better. If,
it really does.
If it's a competition and the songs are good.
Yeah.
To compete, like if that song really knocked me out of my seat, I'd be like, damn, we need to go back to the drawing board. Like that was better. I mean, on the flip side too, we did make ours and post it like, we made it 2 months prior and posted it 6 weeks prior to his song coming out. So we knew like everyone heard it. We knew everyone in the scene out here heard it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, oh,
right.
You guys heard it. And I felt like they didn't try to exceed it. Like at least come at it
like come at me with come at my neck.
Yeah,
right.
come at me with the
neck.
best you got. Like, because he's got songs on his Spotify that are good, like really good quality mix, like really well written. Like he's got a huge following with the Latin community out here. He does really great Latin music, and the quality of that music's great. That's why I was kind of like surprised when I was like, oh, like come out with what you normally do. Don't pander. Yeah, don't make it seem like it's a layup, for lack of better words. Like, oh, I got this one in the bag. Like,
that was a good one.
We got, but yeah, I mean, so it is what it is. It just fuels the fire to build the scene out here.
Right. And I mean, again, you have connections with some really crazy artists out here. People that I respect a lot and whose music I respect a lot. So yeah, I foresee a really strong future for, I guess I can say, Vibe Lane's community, because you guys are all kind of in that grouping. Yep. But for Arizona as a whole too, you know what I mean? And you make a great point. When people come out with good shit, it just makes everyone else want to come out with better shit. Yeah, and if, whoever pops off in the state, like, it's only going to bring more attention to the rest of the state. Right. So, and I mean, Arizona hasn't really had a big artist in a long time. I think Futuristic was the last big name artist, and I haven't really heard much from him or his music as of late recently. Yeah, I mean, he would have been like probably like super duper Kyle level. Right. But he chose not to sign a deal like multiple times. Okay. Which, good for him. He makes great money and has all these businesses that no one else is, taking a cut from. So that was his own, personal, and just choice to not do that. I felt like if another artist, or if he had signed a deal, maybe Arizona would open up more, but there's been an artist from here in different genres that sign deals and they don't do anything for the scene out here. They just kind of move to LA and peace out. Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely still a huge, opening out here to be that first one, to be like a Kendrick or, something with TD or J. Cole, how he does with North Carolina, and, do something like that out here. Someone to put someone on the map. Exactly. It just feels like people don't want to champion Arizona for some reason, and it bothers me. I know. And I think that's why it's huge that kind of this has been a huge travel destination for a long time, and real estate out here is crazy. Scottsdale, Clay, and people come out for bachelor parties, and we got golfing, the Super Bowl and golf. And so many great events. And I was always like, man, we have all these events and we're a huge spot, but no music scene. And now if the Suns are doing good, the Cardinals do good, so much now attention coming, to Arizona. And it's like, if we have all this attention, we have to capitalize with the right talent to showcase what this music scene's about. Because let's say, for instance, when the Lakers are in, LeBron's a huge proponent. He's a huge icon in the world for everything, entertainment. Right. Let's say he's in the tunnel when that artist is performing the Phoenix Suns anthem, and he's like, that's Phoenix's scene. You know what I'm saying? Or whoever the artist is, or whatever state he's in, and he hears something like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know. LeBron could be like, hey, we got to find who this guy is. He's dope. I know this person and this producer. And like, you're like, LeBron, that's a put on. It is. And you didn't even know it. Yeah. And I mean, I'm obviously grasping at straws. Like, LeBron would literally do something about it. But you never know. The sentiment's there. I get what you're saying. You never know. You know, especially in a building like that, where everyone who's somebody in Arizona is at the game. Like, you think of all the people, courtside and stuff. Everyone. Guy Fieri could have been the. Yeah. All the bigwigs are down there, man. You're telling me Guy Fieri's son's out freaking out like, Dad, we got to meet this guy. And meet some. You never know. You literally are always one person away from something crazy. I agree. So if we have that huge scale of Arizona and think about it, like always one person away, we got to put the people up front who, we've got a massive, we've got huge EDM artists out of Arizona. Yeah. There's like a ton of big ones. You got Bijou, Ghastly. I'm pretty sure Mala's from Arizona. Yeah. Quite a few EDM artists. So it's always been weird to me that Arizona just hadn't ever gotten that hip hop thing going off. Yeah, it's always been a sore spot for me, because hip hop's my first love. I work in EDM more than I work in hip hop, just because I don't know people in hip hop like I know in EDM. So I'm at all of the Relentless Beats events and all that different kind of stuff. But yeah, man, as a hip hop lover, it makes it hard sometimes. You're kind of sitting here and you're like, man, I know the talent's there. What would you, as a consumer and hip hop lover, want to see? Like, not style, but like, I don't know, like content, or like, what would you want to see? Like a show kind of thing? Or I'm really big on behind the scenes, like really, really quality, kind of moody documentary style stuff. Okay. I'm huge on that, because I like to feel like I have a relationship with the artist I'm listening to. Right. So I think that would be one of the big ones for me.
Okay.
Is like, show me you in the studio. Like, show me 6 months of like work on a project that you were doing with somebody. Show me like who you're around. Show me the city that you're in, like where you're going to hang out, all that. Make me feel like I'm with you.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Idea, yeah. I think that's one of them.
Okay.
I haven't heard great things about the Arizona Hip Hop Festival.
It's not good.
Yeah, I haven't heard good things about that. So maybe something to replace that or someone to take over it and kind of revamp it.
Yep.
I don't know if that's like in the works or if people talk about that at all, but I feel like that could be beneficial.
Definitely.
So
no, I think that, yeah, I've been the last couple of years to it and, you know, it's a great idea, but I'm not trying to like make enemies on this podcast and talk so much shit, but you know, at the same time,
we have to pinpoint where the sore spots are in order for us to improve and grow past it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not name dropping for a reason, but I'm talking about the situation where with the hip hop fest, same kind of situation where I know for that is more of a money driven, event. Like
from what you know, from your experience.
Yeah. I mean, you have 300 plus artists performing over 3 days. It's like last one was 2019 because of COVID. 2020, there wasn't one. So 2018, there's like 350 acts across 8 stages or something. And you have to pay to play the festival. You're not being asked to pay and sell tickets.
Right.
You can sell tickets, but you're buying the tickets in advance. Whatever you sell, you can make a profit on, kind of thing. Like $2-3 a ticket sale. But to be on the main stage, I think it was like $500, and that's over 3 different days. You got like 36 different slots you could probably get on.
Quite a bit of money.
Yeah, you know, and that's just the main stage. You got all the small stages. I think the lowest is maybe $50 to $100 to buy on to play. Over 350 acts and all the vendors and food. You got a lot of people paying you. All you had to pay was to rent out the space and block off the street for City of Phoenix. That's all.
Do they do any infrastructure? Do they build stages?
They build stages, but they have a stage They have a stage company. You know what I mean? It's not probably the overhead is not crazy for a festival like this, you know. And you got the vendors and the food people probably paying them to use to sell their food. So business model, it's a phenomenal business model. You know, you can make a ton of money doing it. But where you lack
doesn't really support the community.
Yeah, you don't have a headliner. So why is anyone going to stay after their homie's set? You know what I mean? You're going to come see your homie, then you're going to dip because you're not going to stay for 6 hours because there's not a normal festival. You're there to see 10, 12 artists that you really like, you know, and you're paying a top dollar to go see. Obviously, these tickets only sell at $10, $15, but it'd be nice if, you know, your homie played at 2, but you're waiting all the way till 8 because there's a headliner there. You know?
So you're actually digesting the other artists that are there and doing their thing. Yeah.
But the other artists are actually only there because they're good.
Right.
There's no need to have 300 artists where this is their first show. Right. It's like, well, now you have people traveling. There's artists from Denver, Utah, Texas that come and play the AZ Hip Hop Fest. So you got their friends potentially coming with, making a weekend out of it. And this is what they see is people playing their first show. You know, and it's just like terrible.
Not impressed.
Yeah, not even show mixes. It's them literally playing their actual song from Spotify out loud and them trying to rap over it. And it's like, it sounds terrible.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing with the whole Southwest region coming to one festival for that whole weekend. That's what they're all hearing is just amateur hour.
Well, I mean, going back to like Arizona being a rock city, because it was for quite a while.
Yeah.
I remember as a teenager going to the Nile because I was super into pop punk and metal, post-hardcore, all that shit. And I remember going to the Nile and going to, I want to say there were 2 other venues Club Red was one of them.
R.I.P.
Yeah, for real. So there were a couple like notable venues everyone knew about and they knew where the shows were going to be. I think Arizona Federal is one of the places a lot of the rock shows happen now.
Was that Comerica?
I think so.
They just changed it, right?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah,
oh, you just went there last night. You went to Joe Rogan.
I was at Joe Rogan.
So pissed.
It was so good. He came on stage.
Dude, when did you find out about this?
Sheesh. I probably just watched too many of his videos. I probably just watched too many of his videos.
Didn't know, dude. I watch him all every day. And I didn't even see it.
I think it popped up as an ad or something. I bought tickets the day they dropped because I knew about it. Like a month ago? Yeah, I knew about it.
I knew it.
Probably longer than that.
Oh, 2 months ago.
But anyways, so they're like those venues that people know about. They know where to go to hear the music they want to hear and find the artists they want. I don't think Arizona has that for hip hop. So maybe that's another sore spot.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it. Vibe Lane, they have, you know, a venue already. Like they actually have a venue.
Like it's theirs or they're
Close
using
Contact that they're using. I haven't went and checked it out yet, but from what I've seen and heard of it, it's perfect. Like maybe 150 cap. tops, which is perfect to have
Not bad.
intimate, make it kind of like an exclusive event. You know what I mean? If you have
Couple
them enough,
VIPs, get them in to like meet the artist type
and
thing.
let's say 200 people want to go and you only have spot for 100. It's only going to make it more exclusive for the next show. Like, oh, I didn't get to go. You know, just how I just said I missed out on Joe Rogan.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
But it makes me want to go even more for the next time, right? It's that philosophy of you keep your stuff exclusive and small in the beginning, then you can slowly build venue size, because no one wants to book a 500,000 cap venue or 500 to 1,000 cap venue and sell 200 tickets where you have 800 left over and anyone could have gone. You're just giving them away for free. But if you had it where you only did 100 tickets and you sold out so quick where everyone is like, oh, dude, like, where can I buy tickets to the show? And you're telling them, I'm sorry, it's sold out. They're gonna be like, what?
Like, damn.
Yeah. Then they're gonna be like, when's the next one?
FOMO.
Yeah, they're already FOMO. Then you make every story that weekend the best story it ever was on your
truth.
Because then FOMO is for real. So that is also in the works for us for sure. It's definitely putting on shows.
Good. Because Arizona has killer small venues for EDM.
Oh yeah, Pub Rock.
Insane.
For EDM, Shady Park.
Shady Park, Sunbar. Track Club closed like 3 weeks after it opened, but Track Club
Where was that?
amazing.
Was that Old Town?
No, that was in downtown. It wasn't
they
downtown.
Barsmith. The rooftop, right?
Barsmith's a little bit like, it's a little bit more grunge, I guess. It's like not
But don't they have the rooftop and they have the inside, or is it just...
They have the roof... It's a good question.
I think they have the inside too, but the inside's like not really a real stage.
No, I mean there's like a staircase right in the middle where the dance floor would be, so it doesn't really do much. Gotcha. And then there's like the there's like the School of Rock venue, but I don't that School of Rock venue doesn't really feel like a venue.
Is that
me.
Formerly?
It's on Mill.
I know. It's formerly. How do I not remember this name?
I don't remember the name of it.
It was Aura.
No, it is Aura now. So it used
was
to be School of
There
Rock. There you go.
We flipped it around.
Right. So it was School of Rock, and now it's Aura. Yeah. Wow, I can't believe I called it School of Rock.
I thought it was Aura.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've been there. That's pretty big though.
It's
upstairs,
big, but for some reason it doesn't feel.
It's very
venue-like to me.
Grungy.
Yeah.
It's kind of sketch.
Yeah.
It feels sketch when it's like you're in Old Mill, when Mill's not that sketch feeling.
But Sunbar doesn't feel like that. Sunbar feels. Have you been inside the actual venue area in Sunbar? So Sunbar has its actual bar downstairs. They have a little DJ deck for like, brunch and shit like that.
Okay.
And then there's a staircase up through the back, and it goes upstairs, and it's just like a brick square. But they have a giant LED board in there. They have a PK or P3, PK3, whatever sound system up there. Damn. Like killer sound system. Wow. And it's like a real venue that was built for that purpose. And there's just not really that kind of a thing for hip hop.
I mean, because Shady is only known for like EDM. Like, people would be thrown. House. People would be thrown if hip hop was there.
Oh yeah, they would be. It wouldn't.
Because there's regulars who just don't even know who the hell is playing that weekend, and they're just going because they're expecting
something fun. Yeah, exactly.
Because Stephanie Howe.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, she puts on a ton of shows out there.
Right.
She's been killing it with the EDM. So it's like there was some guy out here that was doing hip hop, or girl that was doing hip hop shows, like the way she's doing the EDM scene. Because it's like, for me personally, it's like I feel like I already wear too many hats. I can't be a club promoter.
That's the issue I see too. You're the kind of guy that sees the opportunities, but you're not trying to spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, and I already am spread too thin is how it is now. And so, exactly, like you can't teach someone to be passionate about the same things you are. That's my biggest downside in my career is finding someone or aligning with someone that is down to do those kind of things, but are as passionate about it as I am, where it's like I give them like the breadcrumbs of, hey, we should do something with the venue, and they run with it, and they spend all their time Googling how to do a venue, how to book shows, run this and that.
Like, I'll help you, I'll be behind you, but I can't lead this project.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, come to me, or if you need I have the acts, if you need to know how to run the negotiation with whatever it is, like I'll help you for all those things. But if you're not going to run and go and do the groundwork and the learning and the research, and I have to do the research, like then it's like I'd rather do it myself.
So for all of you watching, there's a lane open here. There's an opportunity here.
So booking, whatever you want to call it,
hit
booking
me
agent.
up, hit Dylan up, hit the both of them. I will gladly help you with that kind of initiative. If you have someone that wants to do that and wants to lead the project, I'll sit back. I won't even take a cut of the business. I'll just be around it to help because I genuinely want to see Arizona's hip hop scene grow.
Dude, I mean, even like interviews after the show, stuff 100%. Like that,
I'll do that all day.
There's so much that can be done that's cool and different and fun. And, it's like if you, like, let's say you wanted to put on a podcast, but like you weren't trying to be the host. You're like, hey, here's how you do it. This is this and this. This is how I did it. This is what I think you should do. And that person's like, just doesn't take the initiative after that. And you're kind of like, well, I might as well take over. Like, or you have a new show idea. Right. And you're going to like, you want Ziza to have another branch under it. Like, hey, I need to find someone to take over this branch.
It's actually my future goal. So you're speaking to me.
Yeah. And so someone's like, and then you're trying to find someone for it. And then they're like, but how do I, and you're like, and they're just not doing the initiative.
Right.
They're not trying to find the questions, not find the answers, but you got to find the questions.
I like that.
You know what I mean? It's Talk like, to me. You have to be like, if you're not constantly asking yourself and Googling questions, like I Google too many times, even if it's like, where can I see whales in the summer? You know what I'm saying? If you're not
just random
Googling, if you're not Googling 24/7, like just thoughts coming in and questioning things, then it's too early to look for answers. You know what I'm saying? So it's
interesting. Okay.
That's what you need. You need people who are down to look for questions because I feel like that's all I do. I just question. I don't know any answers. I feel like I'm just constantly questioning and it's helping me learn and understand why I'm questioning these things.
So find someone who's not looking for answers. Find someone who's looking for questions.
Yes. Because if someone's going to come up to you and be like, how do I do this? And you're like, look it up, right? You're not going to be like, this is how you do it.
You know what's funny about that is I feel like the only reason that I'm the same way you are when it comes to Googling, me and my girlfriend are both the same way. The only reason I'm like that though is because I used to ask my sister questions, and obviously my sister being 8-9 years older than me would like kind of try to brush me off when I was younger. So I'd ask her stupid questions. I'm fucking 9 years younger than you.
Google that. Yeah, right. Smartphone.
She used to be like, Google it, figure it out. And I'd be like, okay. Like, all right, what else am I gonna do? I guess.
Right.
But that's a really good point. It does. Yeah. It does. And you make a great point to ask. Look for someone who's looking for questions, not for answers. Yeah. I like that. So yeah, I mean, again, if you're watching, there's a huge lane open in Arizona, and there are people willing to help you out with it, so long as you take the first initiative. I think both of us would love to see Arizona grow, and there's plenty of other people that would love to see Arizona on the map and grow, not just in hip hop, but specifically in hip hop for this case in point.
For this case. But I mean, look, it all trickles down into everything. If the Suns are doing good, then X, Y, and Z can do good. If hip hop's doing good, then the fashion scene for the hip hop artists that are what they're wearing on stage or photo shoots, that does well.
A lot of brands come up out of Arizona and that
podcasts,
that's true.
Clothing brands, everything.
That's true.
So yeah, it's just a huge trickle down. And I don't know, people just need to be more like, just think like that and not think like, oh, I'm going to get the bag and run out of here.
Well, a lot of the time too, it feels like people are like, oh, well, why don't we just bring the people from LA to Arizona? But it doesn't work like that. Like those people don't champion Arizona, they champion LA. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we want to build something that's sustainable for Arizona.
Right. I mean, yeah, on the flip side of that, it's like the people who are running the AZ Hip Hop Fest, if they brought in, obviously maybe can't afford a Kendrick, but like an Isaiah Rashad to headline the festival, because they're clearly making enough profit off this to book a decent headliner. Right. How many more artists or fans would stay to come see Isaiah Rashad? And then the few artists that are on before Isaiah that day have thousands of people watching them. So that ends up building up the scene, because the 3 acts before Isaiah, you got 2,000 people waiting for Isaiah, and you have 3 locals opening.
I can't even remember the last time that we had a festival show in Arizona, like a hip hop style festival show in Arizona. Like I know RB will book some hip hop artists for like Gold Rush, for example. Yeah. Like I remember they had Kevin Gates out and Trippie Redd and stuff like that. But I don't remember the last time there was a festival event other than like Pot of Gold in like 2015. Yeah. And J. Cole was the headliner. Yeah. That was the last time I can remember anything like that. But even then, a lot of the openers were
bigger name.
Like,
people.
Well, not even that. They were like indie rock bands and stuff like that. Reggae. So I really can't remember the last time there was a hip hop centered festival style event in Arizona.
I know if anyone out there that wants to get in the event space,
hit both of us up.
So many ideas to be thrown around, and I just think that's the last thing it's really missing. That's the togetherness that Arizona needs. Is a place to go to, like Shady Park. What they're doing for the EDM artists is phenomenal.
Insane.
Like my friend Bards. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I know Bards.
Yeah, he
crazy guitar player.
So I went to college with him actually at ASU. We both had a music production class, and his manager, who he met his manager in that class.
Who's his manager?
Mason
I
Shaw.
don't think I know him.
Him and Mason Shaw were both in the same class as me for music production. We sat alphabetically.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that's how they met each other, was that class. And they sat next to each other, just the way the alphabet worked out. And Mason ended up managing him, and the rest is history. But their first show was at Stephanie Howe's first ever event. First ever I Don't Give a Funk show.
Right.
That was Bards' first show ever playing.
I didn't know that.
I know them all individually through different things, you know. It's crazy. I went to high school with Stephanie. I went to college with Bards and Mason, and Bards is a huge homie. Yeah. And but yeah,
I know Stephanie from the high school era. I know Roman because one of my college best friends was his big when he was in a fraternity.
No way.
Like it's such a small community out here, man. Especially within EDM, especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just what I'm saying. Like, she took the initiative. Now look at Bards. Bards is crazy at numbers out here. He's played at all the Relentless Beat shows. And, you know, just because his first show, he got the confidence in that first show and his first taste of playing a show that was put on by somebody who was their first show. So there was not much pressure for anybody. You know what I mean? It was kind of a collective, we're all growing together thing. And I think that's what the EDM scene does so well out here, is just grow together. And they're so supportive. Hip hop's so, you know,
standoffish and kind of like,
shady.
That's part of the culture to some degree.
Part of the culture to some degree, yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, we can put that aside to kind of like build something, right? For the greater good.
For the greater good,
yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. We have camera there. I want to give you the floor to just like chat with the people, tell them any messages you have, anything you have going on with your life, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. I would say just a tip to my producers and engineers out there: stay versatile. Being versatile in your field is like the number one thing. Don't just focus on making the same type of beats or music. A huge thing for me was being able to stay versatile, which allows you to not turn away any jobs, like how I'm getting into scoring films. If I wasn't for being able to make things versatilely, then I wouldn't even have the confidence to try something else new, because I'm constantly challenging myself to try new things. So if you try new things, it'll lead to bigger opportunities. Besides that, follow me on Instagram at the Trill Dyll. It's my personal page at Trill Dyll Productions for beats. And
it's on the shirt if you want to know how to spell it.
In studio times. Yeah, there's a couple 4 L's in there. And an I, not a Y, I think. Yeah. Oh, wait. I and Trill, Y and Dill.
And spelling's not his forte.
Spelling's not my forte. People spell my name wrong. I just spell my name wrong the whole time.
It's all good.
But yeah, check me out. I got tons of new beats on the way and a lot of cool stuff coming with 5 Lane and Steven Killed the Ego. And yeah.
Hey man, take the opportunity on that business idea we just gave you guys, because we will help you with that, just to see Arizona grow and flourish in the hip hop scene. I think we'd both love to see that, honestly.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys checking out this episode. Like the video if you like the video. Drop any comments, questions you have about anything, or just let us know you like the episode. Don't forget to subscribe. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, you guys.
Peace.